Emma Parker sat alone in her apartment in Chicago, staring at the rain sliding down her window. Today was her 28th birthday. Her phone was silent. No calls, no messages, no surprises, just silence. 3 years earlier, birthdays had been different. Her father would call at exactly 7 a.m. every year and sing a terrible version of Happy Birthday. His singing was awful, but Emma loved every second of it. Then cancer came, and 6 months later, he was gone. Emma looked at an old photograph sitting on her desk. It showed her and her father at a baseball game. She remembered that day perfectly. He had spent money he couldn't afford, just to buy those tickets because she had mentioned wanting to go. Back then, she never realized how many sacrifices he made for her. Now she thought about them every day. A sudden knock interrupted her thoughts. Confused, she opened the door. An elderly mailman stood there. "I have something for you," he said. Emma frowned. "A letter." The man smiled. "Looks like it." She thanked him and closed the door. The envelope looked old, very old. Her heart stopped when she saw the handwriting. It was her father's. Her hands began shaking. Impossible. He had died 3 years ago. With trembling fingers, she opened the envelope. Inside was a single sheet of paper. The date at the top read, "For Emma's 28th birthday." Tears immediately filled her eyes. She began reading. "Dear Emma, if you're reading this, it means I wasn't lucky enough to stay longer. I know that's hard to hear, but life doesn't always give us the time we want. Right now, you're probably crying. Please stop for a second and smile. You know I always hated seeing you cry." Emma laughed through her tears. "That sounded exactly like him," she continued. "There are things fathers want to tell their daughters, but sometimes they run out of time. So I wrote this letter years in advance. First, I need you to know something important. You were never a burden. Not when I worked extra shifts. Not when I skipped buying things for myself. Not when I stayed awake all night helping you with homework. Every sacrifice was worth it. Every single one." Emma covered her mouth. For years, she had secretly worried about that. Her father had worked so hard. She often wondered if she had made life harder for him. Now she had her answer. She kept reading. "Second, stop blaming yourself for things you cannot control. I know you. You're probably carrying guilt about my illness. Maybe you think you should have visited more, called more, done more. Emma, listen carefully. Cancer was not your fault. My death was not your fault. Life happens. And sometimes bad things happen to good people. Don't spend your life carrying a weight that was never yours to carry." Emma broke down. For 3 years, guilt had lived inside her. She had missed some hospital visits because of work. She had skipped calls when she was busy. The regret haunted her every night. Yet here was her father, reaching across time to forgive her before she even forgave herself. She wiped her tears and continued. "Third, take chances. I know you've always been afraid of failure, but failure is better than regret. Apply for the dream job. Travel somewhere you've never been. Tell people how you feel. Life moves faster than you think. Trust me on that one." Emma smiled. There was something he couldn't have known. For months, she had been considering applying for a leadership position at work. She wanted it badly, but fear kept stopping her. Maybe this letter was the sign she needed. Then she reached the final section. The words became harder to read through her tears. "Finally, I need one favor. Don't spend your life missing me. Remember me. Laugh about me. Tell my terrible jokes. Share our memories. But don't stop living because I'm gone. The greatest gift a child can give a parent is a happy life. If there is any place beyond this world, I promise you one thing. When I see you again someday, I don't want to hear about all the things you were afraid to do. I want to hear about the incredible life you lived. Now go celebrate your birthday. And please order extra cake. You know I would. Love forever. Dad." The room fell silent. Only the sound of rain remained. Emma held the letter against her chest. For the first time in 3 years, her grief felt different. The pain was still there, but it wasn't crushing anymore. It felt lighter, warmer, like a hug she had been waiting years to receive. A few days later, Emma made a decision. She applied for the promotion. 2 months later, she got the job. 6 months after that, She took her first solo trip to California. She started saying yes to opportunities. Yes, to adventures. Yes to life. Whenever fear appeared, she reread the letter. And every time she reached the final line, she smiled. 5 years later, Emma stood in her backyard, surrounded by friends, family, and laughter. A little girl ran across the grass. "Daddy says it's cake time." The child shouted. Emma laughed. Her daughter looked exactly like her, and carried the same bright smile her grandfather once had. Emma walked inside and opened a small wooden box. The letter was still there, protected, treasured, loved. She unfolded it carefully. The paper had grown old, but the words remained powerful. Before returning to the party, she whispered softly, "Thank you, Dad." Then she looked toward the sky, and for just a moment, she could almost hear his terrible singing voice again. "Happy birthday to you." Emma laughed through happy tears, because she finally understood something. The people we love never truly leave us. They live on in our memories, in our choices, in our courage, and in the love they leave behind. The end.